Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Protests intensify in Los Angeles after National Guard deployed over immigration raids face off with law enforcement. Trump threatens action against demonstrators. Ukraine rejects claim of Russian forces entering key central region. Zelenskyy vows to press on with prisoner exchanges with Moscow. World leaders gather in France for the third UN Ocean Conference. Union Minister Jitendra Singh leads Indian delegation. Climate change, pollution, loss of ecosystem high on the agenda. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar begins a week-long visit to France and Belgium. Will hold talks with EU leaders, aim to renew momentum on the ongoing cooperation in diverse areas. And in sports, Carlos Alcaraz pulls off a stunning comeback after being 2 sets down to defeat Yannick Sinner, defends French Open title after longest Roland Garros final. As the demonstrations over federal immigration raids continued for a third day in Los Angeles, U.S. troops have made their first detentions inside military areas set up on the U.S.-Mexico border as part of the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration. Arrests are being initiated. Meanwhile, the National Guard have been deployed, culminating in confrontation between protesters and police. The unprecedented military areas along 260 miles of border in New Mexico and Texas was declared extension of U.S. Army bases by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The troops are temporarily detaining migrants and other civilian trespassers. U.S. President Donald Trump speaking to reporters in New Jersey amid the ongoing demonstrations in Los Angeles against immigration raids threatened action against demonstrators. Trump said that strong action will be taken if danger is felt.
Is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order. We're going to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
Yes,
if the police will stand in the way of law and order, yeah, they will face charges.
California Governor Gavin Newsom and U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth traded insults on social media over the deployment of the National Guard by Donald Trump. After U.S. Secretary of Defense posted on X that U.S. Marines could also be deployed if violence continues, the Californian governor shot back and called it a deranged behavior. Hegseth then responded, writing, "Deranged equals to allowing your city to burn and law enforcement to be attacked." Newsom wrote on X, "These are the acts of a dictator, not a president." He accused Trump of trying to manufacture a crisis and called National Guard deployment in LA as unlawful. He also requested the Trump administration to withdraw its order to deploy 2,000 National Guard troops in Los Angeles County. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has criticized the Trump administration for provoking chaos in her city through its recent immigration raids that prompted mass protests throughout the weekend. She said that when you raid Home Depots and workplaces, you cause fear and you cause panic.
When you raid Home Depot and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, and when you run armored caravans through our streets, you cause fear and you cause panic. And deploying federalized troops is a dangerous escalation, but we need to be real about this. This is about another agenda. It's not about public safety. There's clearly no plan, and there is clearly no policy.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has criticized the U.S. government over the immigration raids. She said that the phenomena will not be addressed with raids or violence and that Mexico always calls for peace and non-violence.
We do not agree with this way of addressing the immigration issue.
the phenomenon will not be addressed with raids or violence. It will be by sitting down and working on comprehensive reform that takes into account all Mexicans on the other side of the border. That is our position, and we'll always call for peace, for non violence, not to intensify any violent form of protest. None.
Migratoria que tome en cuenta todos los mexicanos que están.
Our correspondent Akshay Dongre is joining us to get us more. Akshay, this action by the Trump administration has raised eyebrows both domestically and internationally. Get us a sense of how do you expect the protests to proceed, or for that matter, how do you see the situation unfold from here on?
Well, the situation from here on there are two ways. First would be about the policies of the Trump administration that have in fact led to the protest. To find a solution for also people who are living legally to not be harassed as far as these raids are concerned. That has been the primary concern of many of the people who have been protested or who in fact initiated the protest. But also there is another aspect to it that many of the people who are actually who have in fact actually entered US illegally, there has to be certain action and there has to be accountability as far as how so many people have been entering into the country without any accountability as far as the government is concerned. So a middle path has to be found. The Trump administration has to talk to the protesters, and this has been in fact a long-standing demand as well ever since these kind of raids started. The states such as California, who have Democrat governors and senators, they have been raising this issue as far as the kind of action that's been taken. It's not only unjustified, but also it's an overreach as far as the administration is concerned when it comes to raids, when it comes to checking people, passerbys, pedestrians who are being questioned or who are in fact who have been detained according to some sources as well. That there has to be a middle ground found. There have to be some strong policies against illegal immigration. That is not only a problem of the US, the entire world faces it. Entire world deals with it in a certain manner. Many of the countries have successfully dealt with it as well. For example, many countries in Europe have been giving incentives for people to go back. So there has to be some kind of solution. It cannot be a forceful solution because the number of immigrants who have actually entered the US is also in large numbers. So it is not an action, it's not a solution that can be found with a deploying of the National Guards like it has been done by the Donald Trump administration. Because if you shoot people, many of the people may also shoot back because of the Second Amendments of the US, but also it can create to a chaotic situation across the country. Because many of the people who are legally staying there, they also have relatives or other known people, friends and family members who have illegally entered or who have overstayed their visa. So any kind of forceful action is only going to deteriorate the situation. But as far as the Trump administration is concerned, they are, while they are right in trying to stop the illegal immigration, the way that they have chosen, especially through raids, is a highly controversial one, which doesn't seem to be paving way for any kind of solution as far as this menace of illegal immigration, especially in the US, is concerned. Back to you.
All right, Akshana, this is for the first time that a president has called in the National Guard without the state's request or consent in decades. Added to this, we've also seen how California Governor Gavin Newsom has sternly opposed it. How do you analyze, this, the domestic politics, and also the stance of how Donald Trump will be facing the domestic crisis, the domestic opposition, to be precise?
Well, the decision to not consult the Senate or the kind of allegations that are being raised against Donald Trump is precisely happening because Donald Trump did not want to take any kind of risks of being stonewalled by the opposition, especially the Democrats, who also would have tried to get some Republicans on their side, especially in the states where the population has a significant chunk of people who have come in from Mexico or from South America or other parts of the continent. So it could have been stonewalled. The administration, while has taken action, there are opposition to it, and it can clearly go to the the courts of the US. Whether or not these actions will stand is going to be a prerogative of the court, because the administration has already given their decision, and if there is anything illegal in it, the opposition is likely to move to the courts. But as far as the homegrown this entire domestic politics is there, it is going to continue. But obviously, because it has been a bone of contention between the Democrats and the Republicans for several years, and especially with the MAGA, which is the entire cult behind Donald Trump. They have been asking for stern action, in fact even military options on certain occasions, especially deploying of US military on the US-Mexico border. So these kind of extreme steps that have been taken can be reviewed by the judicial process there.
All right, Akshay, now illegal immigration is one issue which Donald Trump had pitched for right in the beginning to end this menace. For our viewers, help us understand the severity or the magnitude of this menace, illegal immigration for the US to tackle. How challenging is it?
Well, it's quite challenging because you have, millions of people who are living without visas, without proper documentation. Many of those have also been called criminals by not the local level politicians, but the US president himself, who has said that some of the worst lots are coming into the US. But to find a solution to this long-standing problem is going to be a difficult one.
All right, thank you, Akshay, for joining in with those details. All right, so that was our correspondent Akshay Dongre spelling out the repercussions of the conflict and the confrontation that has been seen in Los Angeles. We will keep you updated. There have been mixed responses with regard to Donald Trump's tackling the demonstrators. We'll keep you updated. Meanwhile, in a bid to ease rising tensions, the United States and China are set to meet in London on Monday for high-stakes trade talks. Both sides are hoping to revive a fragile agreement reached in Geneva last month, offering a potential path to stability after months of escalating trade measures under President Trump's renewed administration. We get you a report.
US President Donald Trump has said that his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping has agreed to export rare earth minerals and magnets to the US, in a move that could lower tensions between the world's biggest economies.
Well, we're very far advanced on the China deal. We wanted clarification. We had to have clarification. Look at the bumpy up here. We had to have clarification. And that's what we're really having the meeting about. We had a very good talk. I talked to President Xi for, I guess, more than 2 hours. We had a very good talk. It's a complicated deal, but it's a deal that's bring us a lot of money and a lot of everything else, and we get along very well with President Xi and with China.
The remark comes a day after Trump and Xi had a rare telephonic conversation amid weeks of disagreements over tariffs. Rare earth minerals are crucial components of electronics, magnets, and batteries. According to a report, China has granted temporary export licenses to rare earth suppliers of the top 3 US automakers. Delegates from Washington and Beijing are set to meet in London on Monday for further trade talks. In May, the two sides struck an agreement in Switzerland to roll back for 90 days most of the tit-for-tat tariffs they had placed on each other. But China's decision in April to suspend exports of a wide range of critical minerals and magnets continued to disrupt supplies needed by automakers and military contractors around the world. Trump had accused China of violating the Geneva Agreement and ordered curbs on chip design software and other shipments to China. Bureau Report, DD India.
US President Donald Trump's order banning citizens of 12 countries from entering the United States goes into effect on Monday, a move the president promulgated to protect the country from foreign terrorists. The countries affected by the latest travel ban are Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. The entry of the people from 7 other countries, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela, will be partially restricted. The travel ban forms part of Trump's policy to restrict immigration into the United States and is reminiscent of a similar move in his first term when he barred travelers from 7 Muslim-majority nations. Up next, we're heading for a short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. But after the break, in a targeted operation, the Israeli army retrieves the body of Hamas military chief Mohammed Sinwar in an underground tunnel beneath a hospital in Khan Yunis. In spite of government opposition, Italians vote in a referendum on easing citizenship rules and strengthening labour laws. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's government is opposing the both and urging people to abstain. Colombian presidential candidate's condition grave after assassination attempt.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Russia on Sunday announced that its troops had reached the border of Ukraine's east-central Dnipropetrovsk region. Russia's defense ministry said forces from a tank unit had reached the western border of Donetsk People's Republic and are continuing to develop an offensive in the Dnipropetrovsk region. On the other hand, Ukraine's military dismissed Russia's claim that its ground forces had entered the region for the first time, calling it disinformation. Although there is ongoing discussion about peace, the conflict is intensifying, with Russian troops seizing more Ukrainian territory, while Kyiv launching prominent drone strikes and sabotage operations targeting Russia's nuclear-capable bombers. Separately, Ukraine and Russia continue testy exchanges over the details of a planned larger prisoner swap agreed to during last week's talks in Turkey. The exchange is likely to move ahead in the coming days. Meanwhile, in a nightly video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy vowed on Sunday to press on with prisoner exchanges with Russia and said that any failure by Moscow to uphold humanitarian accords casts doubt over US and other efforts to end the more than 3-year-old conflict.
Ukraine continues to do everything possible so that the release of our prisoners of war and the repatriation of the bodies of our Ukrainian fallen takes place. Full lists from Russia, about which we agreed in Istanbul, are still not being handed over to us. The important thing is to get a result. The important thing is for people to return home. We hope the prisoner exchanges will continue.
Повних списків від Росії на 1000 людей плюс.
Bolivia's government deployed military forces to secure roads amid protests calling for former President Evo Morales to be reinstated as a candidate in the August presidential election. The health ministry reported that demonstrators attacked an ambulance carrying injured individuals during the unrest, marking a sharp escalation in tensions ahead of the vote. The president condemned the violence against the medical staff and said that he would make an international complaint. He also accused Morales of taking advantage of his supporters and their well-being. Morales, who was barred from running by the electoral tribunal, said that he was fighting to defend democracy, the economy and the country's natural resources. A Gaza-bound aid boat carrying Greta Thunberg and other activists has been diverted to Israel. The country's foreign ministry said that the passengers are expected to return to their home countries. The ministry added that the humanitarian aid aboard the ship would be transferred to Gaza through established channels. All the passengers were safe and unharmed. The Israeli army has retrieved the body of Hamas military chief Mohammed Sinwar in an underground tunnel beneath the European hospital in Khan Yunis following a targeted operation last month. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had announced Sinwar's death last month. Sinwar was the younger brother of Yahya Sinwar, the Palestinian militant group's deceased leader and the mastermind of the deadly October 7th attack on Israel. Israel's army on Sunday also gave a small group of foreign reporters a tour of the tunnel. IDF spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin said the tunnel had served as a major command and control compound for Hamas and that the tunnel was targeted by Israeli forces in an operation last month. Devrin informed that the army had carefully planned the strike near the European hospital in order not to damage it.
We are here in the city of Khan Yunis. This is the European hospital right behind me. The European hospital in Khan Yunis. You can see the very big hole in the ground right in front of it. This is the entrance we opened for a very big command and control compound, Hamas command and control compound. Yet this is another example of the cynical use of Hamas, using civilians as human shields, using civilian infrastructure, hospitals, again and again. We find those infrastructure. We would prefer not to be here today. I would prefer not to, the IDF would prefer not to hit or target hospitals. We didn't target hospital. It is a big achievement for us, hitting in the outskirts of the hospital and around it without damaging the hospital.
A large trench dug in front of the emergency room entrance led to a hole in the claustrophobic concrete tunnel that was used as a hideaway by Hamas fighters. During the search of the site, Israeli forces recovered weapon stockpiles, ammunition, cash and documents that are now being reviewed for intelligence value. Another senior Hamas leader, Mohammed Shabana, commander of the Rafah brigade, was also found dead at the scene along with a number of other terrorists who are still being identified. Tehran on Sunday warned that it would reduce its cooperation with the United Nations nuclear watchdog if an anti-Iran resolution is passed at an upcoming meeting of the world body. Spokesman for Iran's Atomic Energy Organization, Behrouz Kamalvandi, said that IAEA should not expect the Islamic Republic of Iran to continue its broad and friendly cooperation. While Iran's parliament speaker said that the latest US proposal for a nuclear deal does not include the lifting of sanctions, as negotiations appear to have hit a roadblock. The two foes have held 5 rounds of Omani-mediated talks since April, seeking to replace a landmark agreement between Tehran and world powers that set restrictions on Iran's nuclear activities in return for sanctions relief before US President Donald Trump abandoned the accord in 2018 during his first term. On May 31st, after the 5th round of talks, Iran said that it had received elements of a US proposal, with officials later taking up the issue with ambiguities in the draft text. The key issues in the negotiations have been the removal of biting economic sanctions and uranium enrichment. Tehran says it has the right to enrich uranium under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, while the Trump administration has called the Iranian enrichment a red line. The Hague will host a high-level NATO summit, one that's already drawing global attention, with US President Donald Trump confirming his attendance and key topics like Ukraine and the Indo-Pacific on the agenda. The stakes are high, not just for Europe, but also for the key partners like India. Our correspondent Mark Limburg gets us more.
Here in The Hague, final preparations are underway for the upcoming NATO summit, one of the most anticipated gatherings of global leaders in recent memory. The city is hosting the event at a temporary NATO headquarters here in The Hague, where security is tight and international attention is growing by the day. What makes this summit especially significant is the confirmed attendance of US President Donald Trump. Known for his criticism of NATO, calling it obsolete, Trump's presence now comes at a time of deep global insecurity. His return to the world stage is being watched closely, not just in Europe, but around the globe. Ukrainian President Zelenskyy will also attend, expected to push for continued military and political support in the face of a prolonged and brutal war with Russia.
Your visit to the Netherlands sends yet another strong signal that the people of Ukraine and its president will not give in to Russian aggression.
The summit will be led by NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, the former Prime Minister of Holland, who now has a key role in steering the alliance through turbulent waters. For India, the stakes are also rising. NATO's increasing attention to the Indo-Pacific region signals a shift, one in which India is being recognized more and more as a crucial strategic partner in shaping a stable global order. This summit may take place in the Netherlands, but its outcome could shape security far beyond Europe. Mark Limburg reporting for DD India from The Hague, the Netherlands.
Italians began 2 days of voting on Sunday in a referendum on easing citizenship rules and strengthening labour laws. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's government is opposing both and urging people to abstain. Prime Minister Meloni's government opposes the changes and has urged voters to abstain, aiming to invalidate the vote by keeping the turnout below 50%. One key proposal would cut the residency requirement for non-EU migrants seeking citizenship from 10 years to 5, aligning Italy with France and Germany. Campaigners say around 2.5 million people could benefit, while Meloni's coalition recently tightened rules on citizenship by descent. More than 213,500 people acquired citizenship in Italy in 2023, double the number from 2020 and accounting for 1/5 of the total number of naturalizations in EU countries. More than 90% were from outside the bloc, mostly from Albania and Morocco, as well as Argentina and Brazil, two countries with large Italian immigrant communities. Official results are expected after polls close on Monday. A Seoul court said that it will indefinitely postpone a trial of President Lee Jae-myung on charges of violating election law in 2022. South Korea Supreme Court ruled in May, before Lee was elected, that Lee had violated election law by publicly making false statements during his 2022 presidential bid and sent the case back to an appeals court. The Seoul High Court, which had scheduled a hearing for the case on June 18th, said on Monday that it will postpone the hearing to be decided later without a date. Residents of a small Serbian town turned out in large numbers on Sunday for a municipal election that posed a high-stakes test for the national government after months of student-led protests. The vote in Kosjerić was the first since the protest broke out against the governing Nationalist Party in November, after 16 people died when the roof of a newly renovated train station collapsed in the city of Novi Sad. The accident, widely blamed on deep-rooted corruption, sparked rallies that have heaped pressure on populist President Alexander Vučić. Vučić, citing what he said was data from local electoral authorities, said his SNS had won the election with more than 50% of votes, but his opponents also claimed victory. The town's electoral commission had yet to publish official results late on Sunday. His opponents earlier rallied in Kosjerić, claiming victory themselves after the close of voting. Vučić alleges the student-led protests are being engineered by foreign powers and has called them an attempted coup, while hinting that national elections might be held soon. The student-led protests have already forced a prime minister to resign, leading to the collapse of the previous government. In April, Parliament elected a new cabinet led by Prime Minister Euro Makut, a doctor and a political newcomer. A shocking act of political violence has rocked Colombia. A leading presidential candidate is still in critical condition after being shot at a campaign rally in Bogota on Sunday. 39-year-old right-wing Senator Miguel Uribe underwent successful initial surgery to contain injuries from the attack, but doctors warned his life was still in serious peril. Uribe's shooting has utterly shocked a nation that has believed decades of bloody political and narco violence were largely in the past. However, a security guard at the scene captured the alleged gunman. The motive for the shooting is still not known publicly. Uribe had been a fierce critic of Colombia's leftist government, in fact, of guerrilla groups that still control chunks of the country and of ultra-powerful drug cartels. Authorities are investigating the motive, offering a reward of over $700,000. Hundreds took to the streets in major cities on Sunday to light candles, pray and voice their anger at the attack. Uribe's wife, Maria Claudia, thanked the people for their support and asked that they collectively pray for his survival.
Miguel sigue luchando fuertemente por su vida y les pido a cada uno de ustedes que sigamos en oración fuerte, que no desfallezcamos y que estemos unidos en oración. Gracias.
You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, we get you a detailed report on how 11 years of governance under Prime Minister Modi's leadership has impacted lives across the nation. IMD alert for heat wave in parts of North India. Temperature likely to soar to 45 degrees in the national capital. Horn of development echoes in forests of Gadchiroli.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. Protests intensify in Los Angeles after National Guard deployed over immigration raids face off with law enforcement. Trump threatens action against demonstrators. Ukraine rejects claim of Russian forces entering key central region. Zelenskyy vows to press on with prisoner exchanges with Moscow. World leaders gather in France for the third UN Ocean Conference. Union Minister Jitendra Singh leads Indian delegation. Climate change, pollution, loss of ecosystem high on the agenda. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar begins a week-long visit to France and Belgium. Will hold talks with EU leaders. Aims to renew momentum in the ongoing cooperation in diverse areas. And in sports, Carlos Alcaraz pulls off a stunning comeback after being 2 sets down to defeat Yannick Sinner. Defends French Open title after longest Roland Garros final. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar begins his week-long visit to France, European Union and Belgium. During his visit, the minister will travel to Paris and Marseille, where he would be holding bilateral discussions with his counterpart, Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs of France, Jean-Noël Barrot. External Affairs Minister would also participate in the inaugural edition of the Mediterranean Raisina Dialogue, which is being held in the city of Marseille. During the visit, the minister will be holding strategic dialogue with the EU High Representative and Vice President Kaja Kallas. During his visit to Belgium, the minister will hold bilateral consultations with the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Belgium, Maxime Prevot, and will also meet the senior leadership of Belgium. He will also interact with the members of the Indian community. The visit of External Affairs Minister is expected to further deepen India's friendly relations with the European Union, France and Belgium and give renewed momentum to the ongoing cooperation in diverse areas. The third United Nations Ocean Conference is set to begin in the French city of Nice on Monday. Co-hosted by France and Costa Rica, the 5-day conference aims to accelerate action on protecting the world's oceans. Here's a report.
The third edition of the conference will seek to mobilize all actors and stakeholders to conserve and sustainably use the oceans. It will focus on key themes such as restoring marine ecosystems, reducing pollution, and promoting ocean-based scientific cooperation. The third UN Ocean Conference will be held from 9th to 13th June. Accelerating action and mobilizing all actors to conserve and sustainably use the ocean is its theme. It aims to identify ways and means to support the implementation of Sustainable Development Goal number 14. The Sustainable Development Goal 14 is also known as Life Below Water. It focuses on protecting and managing marine environments, addressing issues such as pollution, overfishing, and the effects of climate change on the oceans.
The conference itself will adopt a brief, concise, but an action-oriented declaration, and compile voluntary commitments from all the sectors as a part of what will be referred to as the Nice Ocean Action Plan.
Minister of Earth Sciences Independent Charge Jitendra Singh will represent India at the conference. He will deliver India's national statement at the plenary and hold bilateral meetings with other ministers on the margins of the conference. A key highlight of his visit is an India-Norway side event on sustainable marine governance. Oceans cover more than 70% of Earth's surface. Oceans play a crucial role in regulating environmental balance by absorbing heat and carbon dioxide, moderating the climate, and supporting diverse ecosystems. They are also a provider of vast resources and biodiversity, an important enabler of trade, and an essential link between countries and human communities. And protecting the oceans means protecting a large carbon sink. A carbon sink is anything that absorbs more carbon from the atmosphere than it releases. Ahead of the conference, activists and organizations held protests in Nice demanding better protection of the world's oceans and marine wildlife. Wearing blue and white color clothes, the participants held banners that read, "Protect the ocean, protect life." They denounced activities such as bottom trawling, which is a method of fishing where a cone-shaped net is dragged along the seafloor to catch marine life. It's a destructive practice that can significantly impact the seabed and surrounding ecosystems. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's Earth Sciences Minister Jitendra Singh addressed the Monaco Marine Conference on Sunday, reaffirming India's commitment to building a resilient blue economy. In his address, Minister Singh said that Prime Minister Modi had underscored the importance of blue economy in his Independence Day address. Minister Singh highlighted the India-Norway collaboration in marine spatial planning, a part of the Indo-Norwegian Integrated Ocean and Research Initiative, which has already produced impactful results. The collaboration has led to pilot projects in Puducherry and Lakshadweep, tackling key concerns such as coastal erosion, biodiversity conservation, fisheries management, and sustainable tourism. Ahead of the Ocean Conference in France, French President Emmanuel Macron was optimistic that more countries would join the pledge. Currently, 30 nations have agreed to attending the conference. On the eve of the conference, Macron said that he wants to reach an agreement for the entire planet and that France was ready to lead scientific research in the deep seas. He also called for more financing from Europe. Meanwhile, Macron dismissed the absence of US President Donald Trump or any of his cabinet officials in the UN conference in Nice. He said that France will lead the charge and gather momentum for protecting marine resources.
There are about 30 of us, heads of states and government, who have committed to calling for a moratorium on deep sea exploitation. No, we are not going there. I announced that in Lisbon. There are already about 30 of us who have come and we haven't given up. I want us to reach an agreement for the entire planet because it's completely crazy. It's completely crazy to go exploiting and foraging in a place we don't know. It's utter madness.
India's Chief of Army Staff, General Upendra Dwivedi, visited forward posts in the northern Indian state of Uttarakhand to assess security and operational readiness. During the visit, he interacted with troops from the Indian Army and the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, commending their unwavering dedication and resilience in challenging conditions. Prime Minister Modi-led government has completed 11 years in office. Up next, we revisit the government initiatives to empower and uplift the women. 9th of June holds a significant place for the government as Prime Minister Narendra Modi took oath on this day in 2024 for a third straight term as the head of a coalition government. The Bharatiya Janata Party will today present a report card on the Modi government's achievements of the past 11 years. In Delhi, the BJP National President JP Nadda will hold a press conference to present the government's accomplishments to the public along with the future goals of a developed India. Chief Ministers of BJP-ruled states and union ministers will also hold press conferences across various states in the country to inform the public about the achievements of the Modi government. Prime Minister also took to the social media platform and shared a number of achievements. He hailed the collective resolve of 1.4 billion Indians in making the nation long strides of progress in various sectors. He wrote on X, and I quote, "A clear voice on good governance and transformation, powered by the blessings and collective participation of 140 crore Indians, India has witnessed rapid transformation across diverse sectors. Guided by the principle of Sabka Vikas, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas, the NDA government has delivered path-breaking changes with speed, scale and sensitivity. From economic growth to social upliftment, the focus has been on people-centric, inclusive and all-round progress. India today is not just the fastest growing major economy, but also a key global voice on pressing issues like climate action and digital innovation. We are proud of our collective success, but at the same time, we look ahead with hope, confidence and a renewed resolve to build a Viksit Bharat." Prime Minister Narendra Modi reflected on India's transformative journey over the last 11 years, emphasizing on the significant improvements that have enhanced ease of living across the nation. Taking to social media platform, he tweeted, and I quote, "The last 11 years have brought many positive changes and boosted ease of living. The Namo app takes you through this transformative journey in an innovative manner through interactive games, quizzes, surveys and other such formats that inform, engage and inspire." Prime Minister Modi invites citizens to witness India's development journey, Vikas Yatra, on the Namo app. Taking to social media platform X, he tweeted, and I quote, "India's Vikas Yatra showcased through interesting videos, infographics, articles and more on the Namo app." Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 11 years have transformed millions of lives. Prime Minister's leadership strengthened farmers' incomes and livelihood with direct support, fair prices and robust crop insurance through PM Fasal Bima Yojana. Renowned sand artist and Padma awardee Sudarshan Patnaik congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his 11 years of leadership through a powerful sand sculpture with the message, "11 years of Modi era, a Jan Sevak's journey to build Viksit Bharat." And he did that at the Puri beach in Odisha. Winds of change are blowing through Gadchiroli, one of Maharashtra's most remote districts that was once affected by left-wing extremism. For the first time in 77 years since India's independence, a state-run passenger bus reached the tribal village of Kategaon. Once haunted by the sound of gunfire, now the village resonates with the sound of a bus horn. DD India Sumesh Patel reports.
Maharashtra State Road Transport Corporation launched its first ever bus service to Kategaon village in Gadchiroli district. The new road connects nearly 30 villages including Chandgaon, Dhanora, Pendri, Murumgaon, Dharekeda and Kategaon. The bus operates twice a day between Gadchiroli town and Kategaon. Long associated with Naxal violence and inaccessibility, this border region near Chhattisgarh is now shedding its old image. Kategaon, a tribal majority village in Dhanora Tehsil, was once a place even government vehicles hesitated to enter. Today, it hums with the rhythm of a bus on the move. Local residents are visibly elated. They say this long-awaited service has transformed their lives. Children no longer need to walk miles to school, and access to healthcare is now easier. "We never imagined a bus would reach our village," says Ganesh Koyale, a local teacher. "This has made everything simpler education, healthcare, even going to the market, he says.
हमारे गांव में बस भेजने का तय किया उन्होंने, बहुत खुशी की बात है। हमारे गांव के बच्चे या हम कोई किसान महिलाएं हम बाहर जाने के लिए हमको बहुत बोले तो तकलीफ हो रही थी।
Staff operating the service say that ever since the launch on April 26th, it has seen consistent demand and is now a lifeline for residents across nearly 30 villages.
यहाँ जो पुलिस स्टेशन है कटेजरी में, वहाँ से डिमांड हुई थी कि हमें एक बस चाहिए कटेजरी के लिए, तो उनकी सेवा के लिए और वहाँ से कुछ पैसेंजर्स होते हैं उनके लिए, उनकी डिमांड पर हमने सर्वे किया और उसके बाद 26 अप्रैल 2025 से ये बस शुरू हुई है।
According to Katagaon police station in charge Ajay Subhash Bhosle, this area was once completely under Naxal control, but because of continuous efforts by security forces and local administration, the situation has improved significantly. Once marked in red on the map as a danger zone, Katagaon has now turned a new chapter. This bus isn't just a mode of transport, it's a symbol of long-awaited development, resilience, and triumph over fear. Katagaon today reflects the new face of India, where democracy, development, and trust move forward together. The arrival of the bus is not just about improving connectivity, but also a testament that this region is finally stepping out of the shadow of Naxalism.
For the first time in 77 years since the independence, government-run passenger bus service has been launched in Gadchiroli village of Maharashtra Gadchiroli district, once renowned for Naxal fear and violence. The region is now witnessing fresh wave development. Somesh Patel, DD India, Gadchiroli, Maharashtra.
India's weather department has warned of severe heatwave conditions over West Rajasthan, with temperatures in some areas reaching 48 degrees Celsius. Weather department has issued alerts, including red alerts for some border areas, and has forecast heatwave will continue for next several days. Specifically, cities like Jaisalmer, Barmer, Bikaner and Sri Ganganagar are experiencing high temperatures. The weather agency predicted warm night conditions very likely at isolated places over Haryana, Delhi and Chandigarh. It also predicted dust-raising winds at isolated places over Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, West Rajasthan and West Uttar Pradesh. Heatwave is likely to affect the Jammu region in the coming days as well. People are advised to stay mindful of the weather and take basic precautions, especially during the hotter parts of the day. Simple steps like staying hydrated and avoiding direct sun can be helpful. The flood situation in Assam has improved marginally as the major rivers including Brahmaputra showed a receding trend due to decreased levels of rains in the past few days. The number of flood-affected victims has decreased to 2.5 lakh crore. In fact, 2.5 lakh across 11 districts. Meanwhile, the Met Department has issued yellow alerts for the states of Tripura, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, Assam and Meghalaya. As per the latest ASDMA report, none of the rivers are flowing above the danger level. The receding of the floodwaters has reduced the number of villages affected to around 741. A total of 130 relief camps and centers have been established. More than 24,000 flood-affected individuals are currently sheltered in hundreds of these relief camps, while over 24,000 others who are not staying in the camps are receiving immediate assistance at 30 relief distribution centers. Ankush Sharma from Jammu is joining us, and Lakshay Arya from Jaipur is joining us to get us a sense of the weather there. Coming across to you first, Ankush, you're there in Jammu. The Met Department has predicted hotter days in Jammu as well. You tell us, how is the day progressing there? How did the day start, in fact?
Well, Preeti, the temperature is continuously rising in Jammu and Kashmir from last few days, and the meteorological department has forecast heat wave in upcoming days in Jammu and Kashmir, and people are advised to stay indoor, and especially children, old age people, and the people who are under medical conditions are advised to stay indoors and don't rush out without any specific work. And business owners also planning holidays in Jammu region especially to tackle with this current weather, and schools are already on vacations. So in different parts of Jammu and Kashmir, there are still some relief, but in Jammu region, especially in Jammu district, the temperature is rising continuously, and from today, it is highly predicted that the temperature may rise and a heat wave will occur in Jammu and Kashmir. And today as well, the temperature will remain 44 to 45 degrees Celsius. Doctors are also advising people to stay hydrated through social media, and the local administration is also advising people to stay indoor and don't rush outside without any specific work. So this is the current situation in Jammu region right now. The daily life of people are also affecting with the current weather.
All right, from here I'll go across to Lakshya Arya, who's joining us from Jaipur. Lakshya, you there in Rajasthan, and few pockets of Rajasthan are known for the blistering heat conditions and hot wave conditions. You tell us, how has the Met Department predicted the weather in the next few days, though we've told our viewers some areas in Rajasthan will be facing the brunt of the heat wave?
Absolutely. Hi, Priti. So scorching heat right in the Rajasthan is already breaking the records in the Rajasthan, as Sriganganagar recorded as the hottest city with 47.4 degrees Celsius. Across the Rajasthan, major divisions and major districts were soaring with a higher temperature. If I talk about the Jaipur, Ajmer, Jodhpur, Udaipur and Kota division, the temperature was recorded more than 3 degrees Celsius than the normal, while in the Bikaner, the temperature was recorded more than 5 degrees Celsius than the normal. So we can imagine right here what is the situation right in the Rajasthan. Across Rajasthan, not only the high temperature, but also the advisory for the heat wave has been issued from the IMD. So according to IMD, from till the coming 2 days, the heat wave will haunt the different districts, especially if I talk about the western Rajasthan, which is experiencing high temperature. If I talk about the Sriganganagar, which was recorded as 47.4 degrees Celsius, likely in the Bikaner, the 46 degree, and in the Badmer, something around 45.9 degrees Celsius temperature was recorded. So with a heat wave and with a high temperature, the Rajasthan is experiencing the soaring heat. Along while, if I talk about the monsoon prediction, earlier the prediction for the monsoon was on the 20th June. As last year in 2024, the monsoon struck Rajasthan on 24th June. So there was a prediction by the IMD that this time the monsoon is on set to strike the state before 20th of June. But as the monsoon reach out the central India in the Maharashtra, the pace of the monsoon has been slowed down. So people will not get any relief from this heat wave and the rising temperature till 1 week. So till 1 week, as the rising temperature and heat wave is affecting the state, the different advisories from the local administration and from the health department has been issued for the local people to keep inside, don't rush outside, to keep themselves hydrated. Also, an initiative has been taken with the local administration in different districts. The shed has been maintained. They have in the major circles, in the major red lights of the city and the districts, the green shed has been maintained to give some bit of relief to the passengers, to the two-wheelers during the daytime. Also, as the Rajasthan is well known for its tourists, so the tourism department and the local administration has maintained filtered and cold water storage for the tourists, as well as proper sheds for the tourists as well. Likely, in coming days, the temperature is probably to raise to normal from the 3 to 5 degrees Celsius than the normal. So in the coming weeks, the state will observe and experience heat wave and the rising temperature. And as the soaring heat is experiencing in Rajasthan, it's probable that it will break the past record as well, Preeti.
All right, we leave it here. Thank you so much, Ankush, from joining us from Jammu, and Lakshay joining us from Rajasthan, and both of them told us about the blistering heat conditions which the people in their respective states are facing. Up next, we will be turning focus to sports. We will talk of tennis first. Carlos Alcaraz outclassed Jannik Sinner with a comeback special after an enthralling 5-set thriller to lift his second Roland Garros title in Paris on Sunday. Now, it was the first French Open men's singles title clash, with Alcaraz and Sinner slugging it out for 5 hours and 29 minutes. Alcaraz lost the first 2 sets before suddenly looking practically unbeatable after saving 3 championship points. The momentum swung widely between both champions and Alcaraz prevailed with a 4-6, 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 7-6 scorecard in his favour. Sunday's final was the latest and most electrifying chapter in one of tennis's most captivating modern rivalries. Alcaraz and Sinner had never before met in a major final, and their long-awaited showdown did not just deliver, in fact, it made history. And newly crowned French Open champion Coco Gauff exhibited the Roland Garros trophy as fans cheered her on and scrambled to get a glimpse of the women's singles champ on Sunday. A smiling Gauff delighted throngs of fans gathered in Paris's Central Place de la Concorde as she held up her trophy. The American battled from a set down to beat Aryna Sabalenka 6-7, 6-2, 6-4 and lift her first French Open crown and her second Grand Slam title after the 2023 US Open. The French fans were happy to see Gauff walk away with a coveted trophy. Legendary Cristiano Ronaldo broke down in tears after Portugal defeated favourite Spain to clinch the UEFA Nations League title on Monday. Portugal have won their second Nations League title after a tense final. Portugal converted all 5 of their spot kicks to beat Spain 5-3 in the penalty shootout after the game was held to a 2-each draw at extra time. Ronaldo scored 138th goal of his international career in the final. His goal came after Mikel Oyarzabal had given Spain a 2-1 half-time lead. After the match remained undecided in extra time, both teams went into penalties. Spain's Alvaro Morata was the only one to miss in the shootout, meaning that Portugal were to be crowned the champions for a second time. Berlin's Carnival of Cultures, or Carnaval de Kulturen, drew thousands of residents and visitors for its 27th edition. This vibrant street festival celebrates the city's diverse cultural heritage through music, dance and colourful processions. The parade featured around 70 participating groups showcasing their cultural roots. The event promotes unity and acceptance, highlighting Berlin's rich cultural diversity. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.